watched the movie recently and want to share this experience with you. Let's begin. What a strange story. First of all, I have found out that this film is a Japanese adaptation of a Korean 10-hour series. And since I'm not familiar with the original, I will not compare them or draw parallels. This film is kind of a mix of genres and ideas. At least that's how I felt after the first viewing. Since the structure of the story is quite complex, let's take a quick look at the film, trying to figure out the order of events and the meaning behind it. Yu moves in the city, looking for a job. His girlfriend turns him away, and he is forced to find other place to sleep. With knowledge from the end, we are aware that Yu thinks that he accidentally killed her, when in reality, her stalker neighbor Kayama Kanji did it out of fear of being exposed. That explains why Yu ended up in that cursed place, because of his guilt. Checking in, Ono mentions that this road Yakuza will be moving soon. But later on, during their conversation in the kitchen, Yamaguchi says that he is here at least for the next 6 months. During the first night, Yu hears an argument between residents and trying to interfere. Kirishima says that it's a place for people who is trying to change their lives. That explains that future parallel with roaches, and him betting on who will survive. Putting headphones on, he falls asleep. Seeing nightmare about Yamaguchi death from room 305. Checking it in the morning, surprisingly, room was empty. But there was blood on the floor. Owner came up to clean it up, saying that Yakuza guy moved out this morning. On the way out, Yu sees one of the residents throwing heavy garbage bags in the boot. After unknown call, Yu meets Kayama. They studied at the university together and he gives him a job. After that, Yu sees his girlfriend Megumi on the street. There is going to be a few interactions between them in the future, until it's revealed to us that she is dead. Getting back to his room after work, he notices that his laptop is open, but he is sure left it closed. Meeting up with his neighbor Kirishima in the kitchen, we see a monologue about roaches I mentioned earlier. During the dinner, they have eaten meat, mentioning Orne has a friend at the butcher shop, and also a joke that was like, "So, how did the Yakuza taste?" On the way to his room, neighbor provoked Yu, calling him garbage. Looks like this place is tasting its new resident. On the next morning, he closed his laptop, leaving it right under the edge of the screen, so he could notice if someone was using it while he was out. On his work, his colleague provoked him. Out of stress and tiredness, it seems like Yu starts to see visions. Waking up in his room after celebrating success at work, he noticed that his laptop was used. Stepping outside of his room, he noticed another weird neighbor that was provoking him as well. Looks like everyone in this place just trying to bother you. Another observation, these two are friends of Kirishima. And even more, looks like he is in charge. Yu hits another dead end, trying to find a new place to stay. He buys a knife for protection, says that guy in the army shot literally said, "How can I kill you?" A new resident knocks at the door asking for a charger. Next morning, new resident Ishikawa Jun finds out from Yu about situation at this rent place. And since Ishikawa wants to become a director of suspense movies someday, he is quite excited about all of that. Ishikawa finds out Yakuza wallet and his driver license. Working during the night at the manga cafe, I guess, to finish the deadline. Yu gets in the fight. Sent home from work on the next day, Yu gets suspicious after Ona tried to distract him with the lunch offer. Running upstairs, he sees a guy from room 304 with a knife. Saying it all to Jun, Ona with the other resident starts to claim that he's lying, after other neighbor Maru checked room 304 and didn't find a knife. They all just provoking you for reaction, it seems. When Jin suggests that you could just go and say to police about missing person, Yu claims that he wants to stay out of troubles, which again reminds us about his guilt. He afraid that it will be revealed. Another visions. Next scene with Megumi is more hinting to us about nature of their conversation. Jun meets Kirishima at the kitchen, and, well, whole weird gang laughs at him for taking "it's actually human meat" as a joke. By the way, Kirishima mentioned a website with stories about killings, and Jun finds it later on. Looks like one of the neighbors is a killer. The alleged accomplice is a woman in her 50s, which fits the description of the owner of this place. That night, Yu decides to sleep in the internet manga cafe. In the morning, he calls Jun and asks him to grab his belongings and deliver them to his work. But Jun says that he's moving out as well, because he's done with that weirdos as neighbors. Getting done by his coworker provocations, he beats him up with a mug. Finally packing his bags to move out, he noticed something at the upper floor. Sounds like a working saw. According to Jun, suddenly his phone ringing behind the doors, from where that sounds came from. Kirishima appears, as well as Maru, and one gives a sign to another like, "Don't touch him yet." After you leaving, Maru asks why they didn't kill him yet. He knows how they look, and besides, they are there for 3 months already. After that, we see the death of Ishikawa Jun. Later on, you meet with his girlfriend at the cafe. To admit his defeat, he is going back home. He can't stand in the city. After that, his boss Kayama arrives, ordering 2 beers and fries. Yu takes his anger on his boss. His girlfriend tries to stop him, while Kirishima appears, hinting that Kayama hired Yu because of something. Yu asks Kirishima to leave him alone, but he only says, "Didn't I mention it's just a game? Didn't you know that you are all alone and what is waiting for you at the end?" Getting home, Kayama is killed by Maru, signs that Kayama was in love. But on the second view, we already know it. Yu sees her in the brightest way. She is always supportive in the scenes, always here, like a voice of conscience. Suddenly she changed into Kirishima. Yu choke him. Indeed, looks like Kirishima just playing with him, provoking, testing his limits. Yu says that if she hadn't driven him away at the time, none of this would have happened. I like that moment of realization, when all pieces of a complex story are about to get together. Kirishima watching records of their argue from the beginning of the film. Another provocation that worked well. Killings revealed, Saika again getting ready to disappear. News tell us about death of the other owner of place like this. Seems that they move from one guest house to another, killing residents. Knocking out and killing fake owner, you trying to get away. Maru kills Kirishima, confirming for himself that he is just human like everyone else. On the way out, Yu kills Guy in the army shirt. Before death, he tells that he was just following his orders, meaning that Kirishima was in charge all the time. When asked who Kirishima is, he replies, he is the one who is waiting for his moment. Before dying, Maru says that he is doing this because he is afraid of Kirishima as well. After all, Kirishima alive and end up killing Maru. Megumi is indeed dead. At first we think that you accidentally killed her. Quote, after killing Megumi, you thought you could return to normal life? Trying to keep your sanity, you imagined that she was still alive? In your head you always played the role of the patient guy, who didn't cause any trouble for his girlfriend. His experiment is about to end. You kills him at the end, setting it up to look like they all killed each other. Kirishima revealed his true nature, saying that he is like to see the suffering of other people, that humans being trapped will act differently from what they think of themselves. And there are many traps in this world. Poverty, loneliness, disaster, illness, war. Before being knocked out by the car, Kirishima said that Yu is his best creation. And then Police shows everything that we already know at this point. Each of the residents of this place was suspected of murder. We see this recording that shows how Megumi died. Yu realized that he didn't kill his girlfriend. Guilt is gone. But, well, like Kirishima said, you can't return to normal life now, with all that mess he did at the rental place. Police version is that Kayama wanted to set up Yu for the killing of Megumi. You ask, where is the photo of Kirishima? And we confirm that it was not a human being. Could it be an angel born from guilt, or a demon nurtured in the dark corners of their hearts? Who knows? And at the very end, Yu is running away from the hospital, as well as the last roach from the jar. Well, what conclusions can be drawn here? Man with the jar seems to be an evil spirit, who enjoys playing with people, like observing his roaches in the jar, wondering who will survive this mess. And of course, he is evil from our human perspective. By itself, he is simply present, where the necessary energies are available for him to feast. And this place, well, bunch of obviously troubled people bothering each other and everyone who is desperate enough to stay in this place for a few nights. Every dark corner of this world has its own parasite, so to speak. And like flies, all minor entities, no offense to them, are drawn to the stinking corner. By the way, Kirishima mentions the ancient recipe for the deadly curse or poison in the first scene in the kitchen with him. By feeding each other poisonous animals, torturing them before death, the last one left will be the carrier of the strong curse, just like roaches in the jar. I remember reading about such thing in some book. Well, don't play with witchcraft, kids. That's explain why they didn't just kill other residents, they tortured them, like we saw at the beginning and later on with Ishikawa Jun death. Do not rush to judge other people, you never know what they're going through.